You're vibing. You vibing. She vibing. He vibing. They vibing. We vibing with Reeves. Vibing with Reeves. Yeah, what's good? What's going on? How you feel? Hope everything's right. You know, sometimes life get tough. You know, and you gotta be tough along with it. We know the world is rough, so get tough. Get tough. Oh, school hip hop, what you know about it. But yeah. Seriously, hold your head. Hope you make it through. Definitely do. Hope and pray you make it through. Yeah. Another episode of Vibe with Reeves podcast. And I've noticed this changes due to technology. It's crazy. The changes that technology has brought forth is crazy. And it brought forth new issues that we didn't have to deal with before. But also, people are still people. So it's weird in a way. So it's people still people. So there's still the parts of humanity, both good and bad, that are still there. But now we just have it going through the filters and you're seeing it through the lens of the technological, that's that technological advances. Ooh, I'm gonna keep that. I was gonna edit that out, but I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that in there. I overcame the the stumble, the slight stumble, still rumble, and I'm still humble. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, technology, man. We're gonna talk about that. All right. Boom. You remember? Do you, all my older people, do you remember back in the day when you had a house phone and that's it? There wasn't a cell phone, there wasn't a tablet. Everybody in the house did not have a cell phone. Now everyone in the house can have a cell phone, and then there's six people in the house, and one's like a 6 month old. Everyone else has a phone and they texting each other. Man, there might be 10 people in the house, and everyone except that little 6 month old is up there texting each other. Seriously, house full of do. You could just walk to the next room and tap it. You'll see people sitting on the couch next to each other. They're probably sitting on the couch right next to each other. Just bigging up the phone like this. And I'm talking about myself too, because I damn sure will text you right next to me. I might text you. It don't even have to be a secret. It's terrible. Like, look at this meme. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you're like, oh, I just sent you that meme. Like, see, that's one of the things that technology brought about a slight disconnect. Before you can talk and you be at the dinner table and it's cool, everyone's talking, or they're not talking, maybe they're just eating, but it's still a connection now. She, everyone's at the dinner table like this. Shoot, some people so into their phone, the food missing their mouth. It's like, oh shit, how did that happen? You're paying attention your phone, like, nah, I can't put down my phone after scroll down through Instagram, everything on Instagram, even while I eat dinner with my family who I haven't seen all day. And that's where we at now. That's one of the things that technology helped foster a weird um distance, a sense of distance from people. Like instead of a sense, closest sense of distance. It's like you could be on a date date, date, brand new to your life. She or he, whatever the case may be, whatever your case is, you're on a date with that person. They're on a date with you, y'all on a date together. Instead of getting to know each other like that, one or both of y'all on your phone ain't crazy. If both people are on your phone, it's almost like that. Why'd you even show? Why either one of y'all show up? But if one person's on the phone, then you can say, okay, that person just might be rude. Maybe they have, some business they have to take care of. Like maybe the kids, the kids are with a babysitter and they hit them up. Like like, your son and daughter, they wilding, they running through the house. You gotta text them, tell them to calm down and that I know and that I will whoop their ass if they keep playing with me. Matter of fact, put them on the phone right now. But here's the thing. If stuff happens, be polite. Say, pardon me. After handling this is an important call. I'm not trying to disrespect what we trying to do on this date. A little courtesy. Courtesy don't hurt, you know. Being courteous doesn't hurt. Some people I think but I might have to change my mind. I think some people it does hurt. Because some people act like it pains them to be courteous, just a little bit, just slightly courteous. And like, oh, I gotta do all that. Next thing you do, no, you're gonna want me to pay your rent, want me to chew your food for you, want me to baby you, goo goo gaga. No, motherfucker, just have some manners. Some people are totally against that when it comes to other people. But when it comes to them, if you try to show them a iota of the rudeness they'll show you or anyone else, woo, they will throw 1,000 fits. 1,000 fits. They gonna flip. How dare you treat them the way they treat everyone else? Have you not heard of mercy and grace? The things that they don't show anyone else. Have you not heard of that? The things they refuse to show even you. Have you not heard of the respect? The level of respect that you show them should never be the level of respect that they show you because they won't show you that much. Some people are on it like that and they don't see a problem with it. And they don't see why anyone else does. It's like, what do you mean you have a problem with me treating you crazy? I don't get it. Try to steer clear from them, Try to steer clear. Stay sucker free. Move around from them clowns. I'm just saying. All right. Technology. You're on a date, like I'm saying. All on the phone, ignoring you. Or ignoring you and taking pictures of the food and not of you. Don't even want to show your hand, don't even show that you're there. Or they might want to do a live. That's right, they're going to do live. That's right, y'all. Ah, look at me. I'm up here now, balling. This how we do it big. Boss's life, this how it is, by myself. And you're in for trouble if they're on a date and they acting like they by themselves. See how this dude and they pointing at some stuff that you brought and they acting like it's for them. Like, see, I know y'all say there's a lot of food, but bosses get hungry, y'all. Like, oh gosh, what's wrong with it? Got to broadcast every single part of every single day, as long as it makes them look a certain way, as long as it goes along with the image they're trying to portray. Other than that, they're not trying to post it. Which is crazy. To ignore somebody, take out the phone, and do a live, and look at them like, shh. They don't want people to know they're on the date. You're going to do a live with the person you're on a date with, and try your best not to capture any part of them while you're on the date. That's crazy. You know, then if they speak about it, you give them the death look. That's crazy, but that's where we at now. That's where we at, you know. And sometimes, yeah, shoot, I've been guilty of looking at the phone too. Sometimes, but even then, I'll say, pardon me, I'm sorry, I gotta look at it. It might be business related, you know, trying to get these opportunities set up, so it might be there. I'm not gonna just look at the phone. Just let me just play words with friends. Let me just play Tetris. A boring ass. Let me just scroll down for Instagram. See someone else I could date after. Hop in someone else DMs after I leave here. Man, if I could hop in the DM now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's hot. That's hot. No, I'm not gonna do that. Some people probably do, but I'm just saying that's another example of technology. It is not only technology's fault because you gotta understand human beings interact with technology. So, in other words, we're responsible for how we react. It's there, but we react the way we react. And that has to be acknowledged. Some people say, oh, technology changed everything when it came through for first technology, this, technology, that. If technology was here, it would be so much better. Yeah, but not really. Maybe yes, maybe no. Some instances it'd be better, but still the way we react, the way people react to the technology. Maybe we needed at a slower pace, and not so much as boom, everything. Like, oh sweat. You don't need it. But then again, it's not everything because I remember the Jetsons. I remember the Jetsons. That's right. In other words, I thought there'd be flying cars right now. I'm not the only one. I thought there'd be flying cars. Nope, not a single flying car. But we have something that's similar. Back to the telephone thing. And there they had on that episode, they had the telephone. I saw a telephone with the TV screen. I'm sorry, and it wasn't on just on one episode, it was on a few episodes where it'd be like a TV screen, they talking, and then the face of the person pop up. You can see him. Now, when they came with the Jetsons, that was out. Now you can FaceTime people, and it's basically like that. You know, you can see the person you're talking with. Back in the day, back at that time, you didn't even have cell phones. You had your house phone. And you wasn't as a kid, a lot of times you wasn't, I say, in a lot of different households, I believe it was a common thing. You wasn't allowed to use the phone all willy-nilly. You had to ask permission. You had to act like you had some sense. You couldn't be pranking like crazy, you know. And they could get the phone from you anytime. And if you had two phones, they pick up on the other end and they could listen just to make sure you're not talking to any creepy person you shouldn't be talking to. Make sure you're not planning anything stupid. They can do all that stuff and you couldn't do nothing. But say, Mom, Dad, and you couldn't even go too far with that because you didn't want them to take that phone privilege away, which is real. Don't get it for another few days or for a week. And then you see your people at school and you just have to see them at school. Now you shoot, you get before you by the time you five, you got your own iPhone. You got a new phone. Might before then. Shoot, if I have a problem with my phone, I could probably give it to a 3-year old and they'll fix it for me. That's how normal it is for kids to have phones nowadays. You know, that's how that's how normal it is for kids to have access to phones. Back in the day, you had your house phone and you had your pay phone. So if you wanted to use the phone outside the house, you better leave with like a dollar in coins. That was separate from your potato chip money. You know, you had your coins for candy, potato chips, and quarter waters and things like that. It's separate from your snacks. You kept it in a separate pocket because sometimes you might forget. Then if an emergency popped up, you're like, I can't call nobody. I spent it all on chips and candy and quarter waters. Damn it! You didn't want to be there, so I had to keep them in separate pockets. You had to have a lot of change right then. That's what it was because you didn't have phone. You didn't have your own phone. You didn't even have they had pages, but little kids wasn't having pages back then. You know, maybe you was a teenager. You had um a pager and shoot. I remember back when a cell phone. I wouldn't imagine everyone's gonna have one because I remember people had like the mobile joint, and it was big as like this. It's like you could almost put it on your shoulder like a mini rocket launcher. It was big for no reason. Then he had that antenna up, and dude in my class had one, and he's looking crazy, trying to sneak something that big. It told, yeah, yeah, ah, yeah, that sounds good. After class, I'm in art class right now. Don't get me in trouble. Yeah, he can't hear me. And the teacher's like, yes, I can. You're right in the corner. I'm looking at you. That phone is really big. Like, no one knew that years later they would shrink the size of phones like that. And now just about everyone and their mama has a phone. You have a phone. Some people have multiple phones. Like the future song. What? Sorry, that's Kevin Gates' song. Two phones. Yeah, he had multiple two phones. One for this, one for that, one for this, one for that. You can have phones. You got a phone in this pocket phone in that pocket phone in your book bag, phone in your purse. You got a chain with a small little phone hanging off. If that's what you're into, you get the point is you can have a bunch of phones. That's technology is advanced to that level. And you have your tablets. You could draw do everything that you can on the phone. You get art programs and make amazing pieces of art on the tablet. You can make beats on the tablet. Yes, you have music production software on the tablet. It's like a little laptop. So anything you do on a laptop, doing on that tablet, you know. Shoot, you can download pictures. Crazy. Like now you can download pictures like nah. Back in the day on the computer, you online, they're trying to download pictures. There's people that's trying to download pictures back in like 2002, and they probably just got the picture yesterday. Them shits took forever to download. You're like, oh my gosh, you could take a nap, wake up, and it's still like 22%. Like, I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. Technology changed. These kids don't know nothing about that. They don't know about being online. And then you got to get off because because your mom or somebody has to make a call, important phone call. They don't know that the phone line and the internet was connected, so you couldn't do both at the same time. You had to pick or choose. They don't remember that time. They don't know, remember the unlimited text thing where you couldn't send crazy text unless you had unlimited text, unless you waited for the free text to come through at a certain time on your phone. That's right. Oh, unlimited text after 9, unlimited text after 10. And then they lie about that stuff. You be like, unlimited text. Oh, yeah. Then they just throw some crazy exception that they never mentioned before. Like, oh, yeah. So now that's why your phone bills are extra $70. Like, no, you said unlimited. Yeah, but unlimited after this under this condition. No, no, no. You just said unlimited. Don't try to add extra shit afterwards, which they will do. And then you have to argue with them and go, and then they be like, They try to get slick like every month. These young ones don't know nothing about that life. They don't know. And you can't hold that against them either because it's not their fault. They was born when they was born, you know. Bullying is different. 'Cause now bullying is a little more on the psychological side. I mean, people still get bullied face to face. Don't get me wrong. People still get bullied face to face. Don't get me wrong. But now it's also over the internet. People text you and or they can harass you through emails and online. And that's a different world for them kids. Cause they came up where you need to be online. And it was a part of their identity. So they going through this. It's like being bullied in front of the whole school because they know each other all and they're all on Facebook, so they following the same people, they're friends with the same people. So and they're punking them in front of them, they letting them know, hey, guess who I was talking crazy to? And throwing that to everyone. So then they got other people doing it. So now the bullying didn't stop after school was over. No, it just continued on the internet. So even if they switch schools, they still got harm and they still got them being assholes towards them. Me, I couldn't do it. And I come from the older generation, and a lot of the people didn't have that thing. It's like, what they're gonna do? Go to the library? Like, oh man, I'm gonna go to the library and wait for my time start to come in and harass somebody for 45 to 55 minutes before they kick me off. Someone else has to get on. No, it doesn't make any sense. They're like, I'll just wait till I see him and fuck with him in person. That's right. I'm just bully that bastard and when he come into class. I'm not gonna sit back and do this extra stuff because technology wasn't on your side to do it. Now it is. And some people say people won't be like that if it wasn't for technology. I'm saying, nah, because if you have it in you to treat a person horribly with technology, you have it in you to treat a person horribly without technology. The technology just makes things a little more easier. It just makes things more convenient, for better or for worse. It's what you depends. I mean, I said what you depends. It's what you determine you want to do with it. What you determine you want to do with it, whether you want to hurt somebody or help somebody, you know, whether you want to humiliate somebody or help somebody heal. That's all on you. That's what you want to do. And you want to do it whether or not you had that computer, whether or not you had the online connection, whether you saw that person face to face or not, you'd still want to. That's what I'm saying. We have to admit some of the things that happen that technology may assist in is still due to human nature. There's people who want to bully. That's why there's people bullying in the past before you could bully someone online. You just did it in person. Now you do it on person and online. So it's harder to escape unless you know how to just block. I'm old school. I'm throwing the block party. I'm block. I block it. I said it before. I say it again. I'll block the hell out you. Shoot, more blocks in the martial art than the martial artists. Okay, more blocks than the martial artists. That's right. 52 hand blocks. More than that, man. Blocks, 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 blocks. Nothing but blocks parties. I'm blocking everywhere. That's because I'm older. That was my thing. Like I don't have the patience to even develop certain conversations. If I feel someone's being an asshole, I'll block you. I'll block you. I'm sorry. I might not even make it through the next sentence. I'll block. I don't even have it in me to go back and forth. I can go back and forth, but I'd rather, if I'm gonna go back and forth, I'd rather be in person. That's just me. But also, Let's switch things up. Talk about other things, technology, music. Surprise, surprise that I bring up music. When you think about music and you bring up technology, it's people who say music has gotten better due to the improvements in technology and recording technology and production equipment, all these things. They'll say the technological advancements have helped push music further than in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And there's those who disagree and said, hey, technology helped put the nail in the coffin. What are you talking about? How do you feel about it? You know, there's people who now can be considered singers who really can't sing. Can't sing. Never before, but nowhere near on as big of a scale. And there's always people engineers trying to make people who couldn't sing sound like they could sound better. But now it should be a little bit easier or way easier due to the technology issue. And people say, oh, if it wasn't for technology, people wouldn't be trying to sing even though they shouldn't. Might have a point there, some people wouldn't. You have pitch correction, you could be off and you put equipment in there and it'll help rein your vocals in and get it close to the key you're supposed to be in. And you got Melodyne and you have your auto tune, you know. And now you can even do auto tune live. Before you couldn't do it live. You go and do it in the studio. Now you can do it. You can have it set up and have someone doing that live. And there used to be people that couldn't sing like that back in the 80s and 90s. They just didn't have those um software issues that would help them put their music out and have them not sounding as bad. But that's technology. That's one of the things of technology. But everyone wants to sing, even if you're just singing in the shower, you want to be able to sing. So if someone says, "Hey, this software that I downloaded just cost $200," or you got a cracked version free, you know, when you took a cracked version, whatever it is, you're using it, and it can make you sound better. You can make it sound like someone you heard on the radio, you know, make it sound like the people you heard on TikTok, whatever, and you can put something out, then yeah, you might just do it. Human nature. If you can, you will. There's people who if they can, they will, even if it seems like they shouldn't. Especially if it seems like they won't get into any real trouble. Yeah, they're gonna do it. Definitely. What can you do? What can you do? And also on the musical front with technology, from our producer heads, beat machines. You have the beat machines. There's people that say, hey, I like the old equipment from like the 90s, the 80s and 90s. Some people said, nah, I like it more from the early 2000s. Some people say, nah, 2010s, we got the best equipment now, where y'all just had the physical equipment, the hardware, like the keyboards, the NPCs, you know, the, we can mess around and do stuff on our laptops and computers and, like I said, tablets, stuff on the phone. Shit, I've used a bit of all that shit. I made stuff on the ASR 10, which is an old piece of equipment. Y'all know, like RZA was using that on the first Wu-Tang album, and That's what alchemists used to use back in the day. And Kanye West, that's one of the things he used to use. I also used to use the MPC 3000 or production head in the 90s. That was one of those pieces of equipment we love. But then, I use Reason. We use Reason that's on the computer and the laptop. Shoot, I've done stuff on my phone, made beats on the phone, so whatever. To me, it's about the music. How good is the music? That matters more than anything else. How good is the music? Whether you use a piece of equipment from the 80s or something that just came out yesterday, I don't give a damn. How good does it sound? That's really what it boils down to. I don't give a damn. I mean, I do, but I don't. I mean, I'm curious what you did because, I'm a music geek, but what it really boils down to is how good does the music sound? The average person doesn't know what you made it on. They don't give a damn. Because what if you made it and they don't like the song? They're like, oh, it's dope that you made it on the Amadeus 54,000 XL, the midnight edition, but song still sucks ass. So yeah, there's that. They're not gonna care. They they'll just, oh, song sucks ass. I don't care. I'm listening to something else. And that person might use the same piece of equipment and it sound better to them. So you can't say, hey, they use the same piece of equipment. Yeah, but their song doesn't suck ass though. So there's that. You work on that part. That's what matters. How good does it sound? And now, some people complain like, oh, these producers, man, they these young producers, they're not real producers because they make their stuff or like on the phone or the laptop, or they just know how to make beats. They don't know how to be in the studio coaching vocals or know what it's like to mix down records. So they just make beats. They don't know anything about arrangement or anything. So they're not real producers. I say yes, they are. And then there's people who don't know about the original thing of production, where the producers may not even play the instruments on the song. They might not have touched the drum machine. They still produced it. Quincy Jones produced, rest in peace, produced a lot of records. He didn't sit there and play the instruments on all those records. He was an arranger, he was a songwriter, and he was a producer. This is what a producer would do back in the old days. This is what it was built on. You was like a movie director. You're directing what went down with the song. So that means all the instrumentalists, the musicians, you're making sure they doing what they need to do. And if you need to hire some arrangers, like rhythm arrangers, vocal arrangers, string arrangers, you hire those people and make sure they do what they do, and everyone's doing what they need to do. You sit there and say, okay, play that, play that. You might say, play that different. Play that line, play that melody line different. Play the guitar line different. Slow down on that one. No, don't be so percussive with it. You know, be more melodic with it. Be more smooth. Right now, I want you to drum more. I want you to be more aggressive with it. Not too much, but yeah, like that, like that. You're guiding the musicians, the guiding the vocalists. Because back in the old days, before you had stuff like this, you can see it for those who watching. That was my complete control, control of my, native instruments. Boom. Before you had something like that, and that controls the sounds in the keyboard of the music program that you use. But before you had something like that, then guess what? You had to use instruments, and This is before there was Fruity Loops, FL Studios, Reason, Pro Tools. You had musicians playing those parts. So the music was held together by the producer who was like the band leader. He like the band leader, the musical director of that recording session. Same, and it was the same for the singers. And then later on the rappers. When hip hop came along, it changed things with technology. Now there's these things called drum machines. You can use the drum machines to play out the patterns, and you had samplers later on. And actually, some of the earlier hip hop records, like These Are the Breaks and Rap's Delight, they had bands. They didn't have the SP12 wasn't made back then. SP1200 wasn't made back then. The Kai, no, it wasn't a sampler. They replayed the music with that musicians replaying it. Even though Rap's Delight had the good times, reinterpolate this reinterpolation, it wasn't a direct sample because they didn't have the sampler back then. So it was like doom, doom. They just had a band playing it. That's how it was. Rap's Delight was produced by Sylvia Robinson, rest in peace. And she was a songwriter, arranger, and producer and had her own label, and also was a recording artist in the 70s, R&B. So she wore a lot of hats. For people saying women aren't involved, she was wearing a lot of hats early. So you gotta applaud that. And she was producing the joints. And that means she had the ear for music. She had to say, okay, say it like this, say it like that. You know, you're giving, like I said, direction. So there's people that came up on production, the understanding of production, music production from that standpoint where vocal production was also in it. He was producing the whole thing from top to bottom. But with hip hop, someone could be on the drum machine doing it. After a while, when the drum machines, the synthesizers became more prevalent, you could do that yourself. And then the turntables came in. Your DJ can be handling the scratching part. Maybe one of y'all can do the drum machine part. And then the samplers came into the thing. You got people like Marley Marl producing the classics. And then you got Hitman Howard T, rest in peace, producing classics. You had it. You had Larry Smith doing classics. He was doing drum machines and rest in peace. He was doing classic productions using the drum machines and also doing the live musician thing. He wasn't with the sampling thing. He was a musician. He was in the band. But I say that to say this. It's still production, and people used the available equipment, the available technology to the best of their capabilities to put out the best music they could. And that's really all you can ask for. You can't be mad at someone who's young because they're doing things the way it's available. It's been made available to them. This is what it's been. This is how they've been shown to do it. And people say, "Oh, no one's in the studio no more. No one's in the studio no more. They're all over the world." Well, that's technology. That's something you really blame on technology because back in the day, and people was recording on the reels. Them things are heavy, expensive. No one wanted to my understanding, nobody wanted to really mail those all over the place. When they could just say, you know what, come to the studio, record your part, and it'd be like that. They'd rather pay for you to come to the studio than to pay to send it. So, then something go wrong, gets lost. Nobody wanted the headache, I'm quite sure. But now, with this technology, you can email vocals. My cousin Gideon, you know, we working on a joint. I sent him a beat, sent him two beats, one with a hook, one without, and he sent me the vocals to the song. Not even 24 hours later. Not even 24 hours later, he's like, "Hey, cuz, check what I got. What you think?" That's fast. And here's the thing, there's a chemistry to it. So I understand some of what people complain about when they say, oh, they like the people to be in the room because they really want the chemistry. Understandable. But here's the thing. If you have chemistry with that person from an artistic standpoint, even if you're not in the same room, the chemistry will be apparent even if you work through email. You know, like the Foreign Exchange, that's a good album to listen to from Fonte, from Little Brother and Nicolay. And when they did that first two albums, they wasn't even in the same country. Nicolay was in Europe. I can't remember which country. He was out there. And Fonte's in North Carolina. That's international, working through email technology. But he still had an album that still had music that a lot of people loved. Still had an album that a lot of people loved. So it breaks down to, do you have the chemistry for the music? Because I've been in the studio with people and sometimes the chemistry don't be there. Y'all face to face. What do you do then? You could be face to face and the chemistry won't be there. Like the vibe don't be right. And y'all in sharing the same space. So just because you're next to each other in the same studio doesn't mean that's gonna be instant chemistry. You know, try to deal with people you have chemistry with, and then there's more likely to be the chemistry, even if you're emailing songs back and forth. Because I have some of my people I work with in the same studio. Sometimes we're not in the same studio. We didn't have the same schedule, and they email it. I email it, and then the chemistry would still be there the same way when we was in the studio. It'd be there when he was working through email. So the chemistry, this has to be for the art, in my opinion. It's still, so it boils down to the humanity issues, humans, even though the technology is there. And also technology is a thing of convenience a lot of times. So you can send stuff away. So if you're in Nigeria, you can send music to someone in Detroit. If you're in Paris on tour and you want to work with this new producer in Switzerland, you could. You could be right in your hotel room, recording vocals or something they just sent you. Instead of saying, "Oh, how we gonna get together? What if y'all have conflicting schedules?" It makes things easier. It's the way it's kind of solves certain problems. That's a good part about technology. But when people use technology to erase humanity or just not deal with people at all, that's a problem. That's when people get fired from their jobs like crazy, laid off like crazy. Like, oh, damn. Because people say, hey, I could have a fully automated building. Why would I have a bunch of people to pay? Pay once for these machines and then, pay some people to do some basic upkeep of the machines, and then that's more money for me. F everyone else who, you know, what they have to do is what they have to do, and then that affects a lot of people. So that's when it's not good. That's a bad part of technology. There's people who use technology to fatten their pockets, nothing wrong with that, but at the expense of countless others. And it's not like they're missing any meals. I'm not talking about someone missing meals. I'm talking about people that's in power. We would have a lot of money anyway. They have wealth out the ass. And it's still like, you know what? We can get even more money and cut off these people who need jobs. They've been working here for a long time, but let's just have a fully automated system. Let's just move everything to AI and let's just have that, you know. So that's bad right there. So then you gotta think, dang, with technology, you're gonna have to learn. It's like, damn, you're gonna have to learn it to keep up, just so you won't be lost in the sauce, you know. Sometimes people use technology for bad reasons. They have ill intent on their minds and in their hearts, and they'll use it for that. There's people that's using technology to try and scam people, sending you fake links. You click on it, and they have this program that's going to sit back and find the bank information on your phone or on your laptop or computer. It's set up a fake script, and computers read it, and it hopes the computer reads it and says, oh, okay, and think that you gave the command for you to give your private information to them. These things happen. So you're like, oh, sweat. Yeah, there's people out there definitely using technology for their benefit, but against everybody else. And guess what? That doesn't just boil down to the evilness of technology. Ooh, technology bad. Not saying that. It boils down to the human being. It's about humanity. It's about human beings and how they use technology. That's everything. How you choose to use it. Getting back to that. Whether you use it just for convenience, whether you use to cover up personality flaws, and cover up insecurities, whether you use it to scam people, finesse people out their money, whether you use it to protect yourself, whether you use it to try to build an empire, whether you use it to try to express your talents, or whether you use it and you don't even know why you're using it, but everyone else is, and you don't want to be lost in the sauce, and you're just using it too. So that's what it is. Ayo, technology. So next time someone bashes technology or goes overboard on how much they love technology, it makes everything better. You just think about it for a second. The good and the bad and the good and the weird parts. And we just have to be able to keep things focused when we use technology. We don't want to bring in our own demise on either level because technology's here. We don't want to invent something that's going to replace us or do us any harm. But we don't want to sit back and not invent something that could help save us. Look at technology. It saves lives too. Charles Drew. Charles Drew. Rest in peace. Known as the father, the father of blood banking. He he invented the process for blood plasma storage. Back in the days, we may take it for granted now, but back in the days, it wasn't easy to keep blood. And that invention, helped there to be heart surgeries, triple by with your double bypass, bypass, quadruple bypass surgeries. I mean, technology. Technology can help save lives. So, so I definitely am not on a hey, fuck technology, fuck electricity. That's crazy. Is what you use it for. There's people that use technology in war to take lives, to blow up shit, to blow up people. There's people that use technology to spy on people, whether it be other countries or the very country they're in. I'm just saying. People that use technology to communicate. People that use technology to educate other people, to educate other people. So technology is good. Technology is bad. Depending on what you want to use it for. Depending on the person's usage of it. So we have to keep it in its proper context and know it's the person's responsibility to use technology in a way that's not self-destructive. And that's it. And you've been vibing with Reeves. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And y'all stay up. Be blessed. And thank you very much. And check out my website, reevesent.com. Yeah. reevesent.com, baby. For the merch. Gonna be working on some new merch too. The music and the podcast, Fridays. What is it? YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You agree with me? You disagree with me? Cool. Leave it in the comments. Like, comment, share, let people know about it. And stay up. Thanks for your support. Yeah.